All right, so we're in Pharshat Acharei. As we said earlier in our first tryout, if you have any questions, you can do it at rabbigaon@gmail.com. Go to our Yeshiva website and take a look at what we do. If you want to help us to maintain the Yeshiva and endeavors we do here, there's also a PayPal account. We'll greatly appreciate it. Pharshat Acharei. So after the first parashiyot, the Sefer Vayikra, that comes in a certain structure, understood structure. That Sefer starts, of course, with the overview of the different types of sacrifices that we have, different korbanot that we have, and the avodah of the Mishkan. After that, the Torah deals with Chanukat HaMishkan, the inauguration of the Mishkan, and the kedusha of the machaneh. You know, how holy the temple or the group have to be, the camp has to be. It talks about kosher food and all aspects of kosher food. And in Parashat Tazria Metzorah, the Torah talks about issues of tum'ah v'tahara, purity and impurity, and so on and so forth. We are building it up until we reach the level of Kedoshim Tiyu, right? You should be holy. As it says, it's going to say it next week, Kedoshim Tiyu ki kadosh ani. And it really makes a lot of sense in terms of how it goes, and it really would make sense to make this parasha together. However, this year it's separated. So it says in this week's parasha, after we know it's Acharei, comes the parasha, and you come to realize that it really kind of messes up the structure, the order of what we had so far. Parashat Acharei is kind of weird. What is it doing here? Now, tell me this. You already told me before, but what does have to do with the flow of events that we're having here? Because we already had the issue of the death of Nadav and Avihu, and all of a sudden it takes us to brings us to the case of Parashat Yom Kippurim and so on and so forth. That really talks about Moadot and so on. That really in Parashat Emor over there. And why does the Torah needs to repeat to us here again the whole event of the tragic death or the death of Nadav and Avihu? What is the reason that right after that we have the avodah of Yom Kippur? If we could find out, that would be interesting. So one of the possibilities that we could explain that difficulty that we have in understanding of the flow of this thing, is that really a moment before, like a split of a second before we'll reach the level of Kedoshim Tiyu, comes the Torah and gives us a certain warning sign, which is quite of a severe warning sign regarding that issue. And that warning sign is that Kedusha, seeking holiness, could be very dangerous. Could be very dangerous, and could be very destructive if you don't know how to control it, how to deal with it. It might sound strange to you or weird to you, but if you don't like it, when it's your turn to say, you can say whatever you want. That's what I want to say, so that's what we're going to say. Right? Everybody yes, right? Good. So now, there is a special type of Yetzer Hara. Where's the Mekubal? There is a certain type of Yetzer Hara in this world that really comes to take place, or takes and grabs us as soon as we get near the level of Kedusha, the level of holiness. Something's very special. According to Chazal, that Yetzer Hara, what we call the Yetzer Hara of the Tzaddikim, that's what they have, might even be present in higher domains and so on and so forth. As it says in Masechet Yomayin, Daf Samechtet Amud Bet, this is Zuhi Gvurato, Gvurato shekoveshet Yitzro shenoten erech apayim lareshaim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds himself back, and he gives the rope, releases the rope to the wicked people. Look at Masechet Yomah. By the way, it's a beautiful Masechta for those of you who are doing in it, learning in it. And it says, so what did Chazal actually mean when it says Koveshet Yitzro? כובש את יצרו. Well, הקדוש ברוך הוא has יצר הרע. What does it mean כובש את יצרו? So on that, Rav Nachman Mibreslev said something very, very interesting in his and it's both in Yalkut Moharan, I think it's in Ayin Hay over there, so Ayin Bet or something like this, and he writes, it says, the Chachamim were darshaning in Sefer Bereshit Rabbah, Yud Bet, it says, at the beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create the world b'midat hadin. B'midat hadin. And after that, he kind of broke the Yetzer Hara, and he included Midat HaRachamim together with Midat Hadin. Therefore, Midat Hadin represents here the Yetzer Hara, which represents the fact that everything in the world is going to be good and is going to be fixed. So far, so good. However, here and now, immediately. In other words, there is no process of evolving, of developing. It's got to be good and it's got to be now. In other words, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to kill you. You're not going to do it, I'm going to punish you. So that in a way HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to restrain. I mean, let's get it right. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not have bad qualities or so on and so forth. However, the representation of Midat Hadin is represented as so-called as the Yetzer Hara. However, Le'atid Lavo, in the future, when we're going to reach the world of truth and, the tikkun is going to be fixed and complete, then Midat Hadin is going to come into play, and then, of course, Halacha is going to be like Bet Shammai and so on and so forth. However, right now, the world, it's still in a different method. Different attribute. Right now we have to have Midat HaChesed over, or Midat HaRachamim over Midat Adin. They included, but it's over it. So therefore, HaYetzer Hara of the Tzaddikim, we're talking about the Tzaddikim, the Yetzer Hara of the Tzaddik. How can a Tzaddik have Yetzer Hara? Very simple, because he has Yetzer Tov, so he has to have Yetzer Hara. How does it come to, manifest their Yetzer Hara? It is lack of patience and lack of tolerance. There's no time for you, Habibi. That's it. And I don't have any patience for you, and I don't have any tolerance for you. You gotta straighten yourself up, and that's it. However, that comes from their ability to understand that really Midat Hadin is really the way it should be, and they appropriate themselves in Midat Hadin. That could, of course, always be explained why we said Tzaddik Vera Lo, Rasha V'Tov Lo, because they're in a different track. They're on the track of Midat Hadin. The regular people are on the track of Midat HaRachamim, and so on and so forth. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and teaches us a lesson that in order to maintain this world, in order to make this world exist, we have to restrain the will of Midat Hadin to restrict you also, and because of that also to restrict the Kedusha. In other words, you have to commit yourself to the process. I think we could see this concept in the way of creation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu really needed 6 days to create everything. U'be'emet. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melo Kol Haaretz Kvodo, he's the one and only. He could have made everything like this, boom, one day, one split of a second, not even a day, split of a second. But through the process of creating the world, or creating the world through a process, there's going to be heaven and earth, Tov, Avo, separation of light and darkness, creating the stars, a whole entire process. That's the combination of Midat HaRachamim, which give us an indication of understanding that not everybody is on the same level as we are, and we are also not on the same level that we should be, and there is a process that has to be engaged. And you have to commit yourself to that process. It's not just like overnight. If you want to be Gadol Batorah like the Gaon Mivilna, Okay, you have to start living your life like that. Don't waste your time. Don't sit on on Netflix or YouTube or and so on and so forth. Don't go to Punta Cana, and you got to sit down and learn every single moment that you have available. But you can't go to sleep and wake up in the morning. Go to sleep like an imbecile and get up in the morning like the ground. That's not going to happen. You understand? I mean, of course, if I have to think about downloading a program, even downloading the program takes a thing. But the Yetzirah is the telephone. You put the telephone, boom, automatically it goes in right away. That's the Yetzirah. You say everything immediate is Yetzirah. It has to be a process. Therefore, we make the Paskan Halacha like Bet Hillel, not like Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai are more tolerant. Now, Nadav and Avihu died because Votam Lifnei Hashem. They failed in the process of getting close. They failed in that. They wanted now. They were holy. They wanted now. Why? Because they had the Yetzirah of Tzaddikim. And so does continue Rav Nachman, and he writes, Gam בעניין ההתקרבות עצמו להשם יתברך, יש יצר הרע גדול. Even in becoming more holy, better, even in that is Yetzirah. There's always going to be Yetzirah. You can't abolish the Yetzirah. There's always going to be. You need to control it. You need to restrain Midat Hadin. The same thing as we always say, we make a kiddush in a silver cup for a reason. The silver is the chesed, the wine is the din, we're restraining it from the outside, and we sweeten it with water from the inside. May chesed. Right, Isaac? Absolutely. Sadlik. Ta'ayef motek. Ben Adam Alecha Niredam. 2 seconds, it's already there, huh? Is a pachad. How the time goes, unbelievable. How the time flies. We have to do something about sleeping. We can't sleep so much. You like to sleep, huh? Don't sleep. Yeah. Anyway, so sometimes that extra excitement, right? We excite too much. We want to do it quickly. That also comes from the Yetzirah. That comes from the Yetzirah. And that's what when we says Pen Yaharosu. In other words, when there is a Yetzirah Gadol, that a person start to come closer to Hashem, there's a Yetzirah Gadol, right? And therefore, when they received the Torah in Matan Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu warned Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says, "Red ha'ed ba'am pen yarsu el Hashem lirot." Go get down to them, stop them, because it's going to be crazy there. So why? Because Am Yisrael at the time of Matan Torah was on a very, very high level. It's a very high level. Therefore, they need to be warned from the Yetzirah that a person might also develop when he wants to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than he really is appropriate to his level now. Today, everybody wants to learn Kabbalah. Ribono shel Olam. I understand Kabbalah is beautiful, but Kabbalah is just like Torah, like anything else. What's holier, Kabbalah or Chumash? Yitzchak, Chumash? Anybody says Kabbalah? No, it's all the same thing. Hakol אותו דבר. זה תורה, פרדס, פשט, רמז, דרוש וסוד, הכל תורה. Which one is your holiest hand? Your right hand or your left hand? I don't know, I hold the lulav like this, but I put filling in here. Oh, holy! Hold on. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You have to know, you have to have a spiritual situational awareness. You have to be aware of where you're standing and to apply things that are appropriate to your level. It's very simple. However, we're very arrogant. And that's a problem. Now, I'm not an astrology person, and I don't really hold by astrology, numerology, and all kind of like lologies, no me canta. It's not my thing. I like reasoning. I like things that make sense. I like, you know, I find my mystical satisfaction in great logic. You know, that makes me happy. However, we need to point out, just for that matter, you know, as an analogy, we need to know that this parasha usually happens in Chodesh Iyar. Usually in Chodesh Iyar. And the mazal, the sign of Chodesh Iyar, is mazal shor. And mazal shor, the star in which represents it, controls it, is really considered, it's called Noga. Noga is?
Venus.
Venus, very good. And in the Kabbalah, there is a concept that is called Klipat Noga. Klipat Noga is a reality where the good and the bad are connected together in such a situation, in such a condition, that the negative, the bad, is dominant, but they are connected. This is a very, very difficult state to deal with, because it's very difficult to distinguish at that point between good and bad. The line is very fine. And it's because of that, it will be also very difficult to tell between emet v'sheker, truth and a lie, false and truthful and truth, and that's where a lot of people fall. We know that it's not, and by the way, it's always in this gray line that it's not so clear that you have to be very careful. That's why I can give you examples between today and tomorrow. That's why Chachamim would not eat a behemah that had a question in it. They had a question. For them, either it's kasher or taref. You don't know. You have to ask a rabbi. Good, I don't eat. And when we have a safek, you have to remove all the sfekot. I don't want to talk about Amalek and so on and so forth, but that's exactly it. I don't know. I'm not quite sure it's good or bad. That's called klipat noga. There's different types of klipot and klipat noga. Therefore, Parashat Acharei really is connected to the death of the sons of Aaron, that they were mistaken by a false thought, and they entered into the holy, into the domain in which they weren't allowed to, while the father was alive. Aaron was still alive. He was the Kohen. Uvazot yikanes el hakodesh, uvazot yavo el hakodesh, and with that he'll come to the kodesh. Not whenever he wants. He's going to come once a year. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you, you don't have any business to walk in whenever you want. And besides, there's another Kohen there, just so happens to be he's your father. What are you doing there? What are you doing there? Now, we should know that the Klipat Noga was created by the combination of letters which are really dominant in them, and the dominance is the letter Pei. If you talk about the letter Fei in Hebrew, right, that is and of course we're talking about the internal frequency of the letter Fei. That is a tzinor, a pipe, a vessel to the shefa ruchani that comes in, which really is connected to Geulah, to redemption. And because of Geulah in Aramit, how we say Geulah in Aramit? Furkana, right? And the external frequency, or the external vibe of the letter Fei, which is the negative one, is to pesha, to a crime. So how do we really connect between how do we able to distinguish between good and bad and so on and so forth? By the way, you should know there's the whole concept that Chachamim have developed in order to understand deeper, levels, different layers of the Torah by, for example, where does a letter appear in the first place in the Torah? Taking the letter and breaking it into the letters that actually made it. For example, the letter Fei is going to be Pei and Hey. Of course, Pei and Hey represents two complete opposites, because Pei, the letter Fei, represents something always receiving, never giving. It's a closed circuit. There's one opening that always gives. A letter Hey gives and receives and gives and receives. It's opening, two opening all the time. And that's a very big thing to remember. So in our parasha we have 80 psukim. 80 psukim. The gematria of 80 is pay. Just like the letter of what we say of Kochav Noga. In other words, by those parashiot by this parasha of Achremot, we could connect to a koach chiyuvi, to a positive force that is being revealed to us, of course, through the avodah, to the work of the days between Pesach, right? Which is, I made a mistake here, which is Chanukat HaMishkan, right? Whatever comes to that, to the Kabbalat Torah, which is in Shavuot, by the combining effort of all of us to count together. Why? Because it says, Usfartem lachem, and you count for yourself in plural. Lachem velo lecha. וספרת לך 7 שבתות, 7 שנים. וספרתם לכם 7 שבועות, right? There's a difference. It says you count. In other words, the Sfirah, there's something that comes to teach us about what we should be doing during those days. Those days, and today I told somebody that there's, without getting into politics and internal political things, there's friction between camps and so on and so forth. And one individual told me, I think I'm going to go with this camp. And I said to him, no, you should not be doing this. You should either tell them both to stop or don't join any of them. I said, because this is the time in which we should strive for unity, not for diversion and division and so on and so forth. We should be united. We should leave away selfishness, because what caused a Nadav and Avihu is arrogance and selfishness. They didn't want to be a part of something great. Now, I'm a different level. I'm above this. And we have to be very, very careful from that. This is the time where we should all come together. Pesach to Shavuot, Usfartem lachem, to you. It means that we are all counting this together. We forgot. This is a tremendous, by the way, tremendous secret that we learn from here. If you sit down and you dwell on this point, that we learn from Bnei Aaron. Bnei Aaron forgot that in order to be holy, you need to have a tzibur, you need to have people. They brought this sacrifice for themselves. The job of the Kohen is not to bring it for himself. The job of the Kohen is to bring it for the people. And they brought it to themselves. A part of this tremendous force is being revealed to us, of course, by the neshamot of Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron, that they made a mistake, right? But their actions actually can help us, even through this time, not for us to learn and not to make this mistake again. And because if we come to this problem again, we're going to come to a situation where the good and the bad are going to be connected again, just like a tinok, like a baby, before he comes to the Brit Milah. Good and bad is combining together with him. We need to remove the orla. We need to remove this foreskin to separate the good from bad. And that energy that is of good and bad mixed together, we're not quite sure. By the way, that's the same energy that causes people to do Gilui Arayot, forbidden relationships. That's why we do the Brit Milah. And that's what the Ramban writes. The Ramban writes that we do the Brit Milah to be machlish koach atashmish. We don't want to have to be immersed in this so much, because your excitement, you're going to be like an elephant in a China store. You're going to knock everything down. Things need to be clear to you. That's why if a woman counts and there's a question, they go to the rabbi. And many rabbis who are experts in seeing colors would not determine to themselves. They'll give it to somebody else to check. We need to completely distinguish and separate between good and bad. We cannot have it mixed together, because this is where we fall. That's what prevents us from the last step or reaching the level of Kedusha, when we don't know anymore. And that energy of Gilui Arayot, that energy of good and bad mixed together, it's the same source of energy which being egocentric is being deriving from, being selfish. Because you don't think about the consequences of your actions. You only think about yourself. Somebody told me something, well, this one or that one. I said to him, listen, don't forget, buddy, that this girl that you're talking about is somebody else's sister. Would you like somebody else to do this to your sister? So, I never thought about it. You're selfish. You only think about yourself. Now, you should know also that when you are selfish and you only want to receive and you don't want to give, that's what causes the galut. That's what causes us to stay in exile. And galut is also in Israel, Habibi, not only in America. We're not free in Israel. You have to consult the whole entire world before you sneeze. You can't do what you want. You have to get approval from this one, you have to get approval from the other one. That's the problem, that's galut. Am levadad, that's the kedusha, comes from the fact that Am Yisrael knows the difference between lo lalechet bechukot hagoyim. That's what we've been dealing with. To know what I am obligated to do and what they're doing, and what they're doing has nothing to do with me. If the nations want to go with a pressure cooker over their heads, let them do that. It doesn't mean that I have to do it. If the whole entire world does tattoos, there's no way for a Jew to do tattoos. That's it. That's what they do. That's what I do. We need to know this. This distinction, the clear distinction, and the kedusha, the kiddushim, they come. The whole thing comes when a person mekadesh a woman, she's separated from the whole entire world. Now they're sanctifying. The sanctification comes from that. And Nadav and Avihu did not know that. They didn't pay attention to that. To be disconnected from the truth, right? Oh, sorry, from the bracha. That will cause you that. That will cause you that. However, you can take the letter Fei and all this thing and actually get the good from that, because in a way, the letter Fei reminds you of the letter Bet. Because if you take the Fei, if you take the little chupchik that is inside, you put it on the other side, the Pei becomes into Bet. So even inside that action, you can connect yourself to the bracha. You should be able to connect something and bring something over, which is going to give. And Bet is bite. And we can't build the bite until we're going to bring the bracha. And how are we going to bring the bracha? By giving, by sharing, not by being selfish. And that separation, that breiru, that selection between good and bad also comes in the story of the Sa'ir Azazel and the scapegoat that we throw, right? And if it echad laHashem, echad laAzazel, distinction, if they're good, and the whole story, look at it over there. And Nadav and Avihu are really are signing a warning light on the way up, not on the way down. The Sa'ir Azazel goes down, right? The Sa'ir and whatever the Hashem goes up, right? That's the way it is. Nadav and Avihu are a warning sign on the way up. And because the pasuk says, "Daver el Aaron achicha ve'al yevo bechol et el hakodesh." Tell Aaron, your brother, he cannot come to the kodesh whenever he feels like it, right? And that is Yom Kippurim, when we reach the highest level of kedusha, right? And only when we reach the highest level of kedusha, we can enter the kodesh hakodashim. And then what happens there? We conduct the world b'midat hadin, right? But that's only for one day. Only for one day a year. So 364 days a year we do Midat HaChesed, and one day Yom Kippurim is Midat HaDin. Ve'al yavo b'chol et el HaKodesh, and that commandment of Al yavo HaKodesh, it's not a tzivui, a commandment to be compromised and to be partially holy. That's not what it means. Okay, you know what? אל תהיה כל כך צדיק, קצת צדיק וקצת חתול. No. Does not mean to compromise. The kedusha amushlemet, the complete kedusha, the perfect kedusha, would only come from patience, from understanding, from controlling your impulses. If you're an impulsive person, you cannot be holy. You have to understand that. If you're an impulsive person, and that will manifest itself in your impulses to buy things, to watch things, to do things, and so on and so forth, since you are not in control of your life, you can never reach a level of Kedusha. You have to understand, you have to have a plan. You have to make a plan. You have to know how things are going, and you have to be patient, and you have to be tolerant. And you have to, on top of all, be mechubar laklal. You have to be a part, an integral part of society, of your community. You cannot sit at home and be holy. You have to be a part of the people, and if there's nobody there, you should be the one who is going to be mashpia, who is going to influence the people. Almost, I would even dare to say, like the Lubavitchers, who go, whatever. And whatever they can, they do. They open a Chabad house in Timbuktu, and you find a couple of Jews there, and they sing Kumbaya once a year. That's a tremendous thing to do. And you know me, I'm not a Lubavitcher fan, but what they do is amazing in terms of that. They give an example of how it is. They bring the people they're willing to accept, to a certain extent, of course. I'm not going to give you the daughters to marry, but that's a different story, right? But we are stepping every single day closer and closer to the ultimate holiness. But together with this noble desire to really become holy, we still are here in this world, and this understanding will make us strive to reach the Kedusha. We are not there yet, and we have to act according to that. We didn't reach the goal yet. Mashiach is not here. The Tikkun Olam is not here. We have work to do. Somebody needs to do it. We need to do it. We need to care to the people. And that's the bottom line. By the way, you should know, of course, you cannot help every single Jew out there. You can't. You'll be wasting your time. You have to do, as I said to you many times, you have to do spiritual triage. You have to assess who really wants to be helped, who could be helped, and then you help them. Because as an individual, you can't help the masses. However, if you have 10 people, these 10 people have, influence 10 other people, eventually it could happen. You need to start, you don't need to finish. You be involved with the process. You need to be building the Beit HaMikdash. You don't need to finish the Beit HaMikdash. You need to start learning. You're never going to finish learning. There is a process. The beauty is in the process. We need to strive to Kedusha on one hand. We should strive to holiness in everything that we do. We eat for a reason, with an intent. Everything that we do is with intent and a reason to bring us closer to Kedusha. And then on the other hand, we have to deal with reality, which is really full of conflicts, full of downfalls. And there is a personal downfall and a society downfall, and our job is to deal with it while we are on our journey up. But we haven't gotten there yet. Nadav and Avihu did not understand that. And on the way to reach that high level of Kedusha, they lost their connection to reality, with reality, and that caused them to lose their lives. Aaron fixes their way. How? That he did not enter the Kodesh whenever he felt like it. He was restrained. So there was the Tikkun, and by doing so, he gives us the way to the Kodesh, right? Which Hillel is always pinpoints. It says, "Have mitalmidav shel Aaron." How? Ohev shalom. Odev shalom, you love peace. You don't just say it. You love peace. You love harmony. You seek the harmony. Ohev et habriot, you love the people. And what do? Mekarvan la Torah. That's the way you're going to reach this. That's why Aaron was able to come to the Kodesh, because he was doing those things. But when you are sitting there worrying about yourself, that's not going to happen. Until that point, right? And hopefully we'll reach it. All of us as a society, we're going to be able to reach this tremendous concept of Kedoshim to you. We're going to be holy. Why? Ki kadosh ani. But there's a tremendous point for us to remember that regardless all your abilities and all your kochot and all the powers and all the talents that really are not yours, and some of them are completely imaginary because you really don't have anything, everything was given to you on a loan. But regardless of all these things, there's always going to be somebody higher and better than you, and without a doubt, somebody better and higher than all of us, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As the Midrash says in Midrash Rabbah Chavdal Tet on this parasha, on Kedoshim Tiyu Yachol Kamoni, you could be like me. Talmud Lomar Ki Kadosh Ani. In other words, my kedusha, my holiness, is higher than all. Anybody's kedusha, anybody's holiness stems from the proximity that one will have to me. You cannot be holy by yourself. And at the day that Am Yisrael and the Kohanim, all of them, will get this Hashrat Shechina, HaKadosh Baruch Hu teaches us that even though you became holy and you became a Kohen, that does not give you extra benefits and does not allow you to be matir to yourself things that became aser to other people. On the contrary, the Shechina is a Mishkan, and together with that, the high level of the Kohanim demands from them to remember that the only reason why they became Kohanim, you listen to Kohen, the only reason why they became Kohanim was not because they're so fantastic, was to serve the people. To serve the people. So the same thing when you are a rabbi of a congregation, you are there to serve the people. The people are not there to serve you. And if you are not capable of understanding that, you should not be a rabbi. There's something else. If you're so fantastic, I'm sure you'll be successful somewhere else. Of course, if you have nothing else to do and you thought there was an opportunity, that's a different case. We're not talking about that. So regardless of how good you are there to help the people. I remember stories from Rabbi Ovadia Yosef alav shalom. I mean, who's gadol bedoro like Rabbi Ovadia Yosef? He used to go to Shuk Machane Yehuda at the time when he was young, and he used to learn with the people there. Show me somebody who will go to the market and learn with people. The same stories I can tell you about Rabbi Ben Chaim. He did not sit down when we were in the call. He did not sit down with the top, rabbis, in Queens and Brooklyn. He chose to sit down with the plumbers and the painters and all these people. Why? Because he's there to serve the people. Somebody needs to teach them, and he told me that himself. That's a great person, and that's what you get more, and that's why you become holier. Now, because of the people there, and because you serve them, only then you need to understand you could elevate yourself. That's why you have to be a part of the people. A person that is always looking to get brownie points and so on and so forth, he's really not training well the people. He's not serving the people appropriately. So there's not going to be kedusha. There's going to be tumah there. So, because it says, right, as the Sfat Emet brings us to us in the section of Tafresh Lamed Aleph, Vishnat Tafresh Lamed Aleph, you bring the Ikar Kedusha al Yedei Shemachnis Adam Atzmo B'Klal Yisrael. You have to enter yourself in Klal Yisrael. You have to be involved. You have to be an integral part of Klal Yisrael. Ki HaKedusha Shora B'Klal Yisrael Shehi Knesset Yisrael. The Kedusha comes from the grouping of the Jews. That's why we said Dvarim Shebekdusha only when there's a minyan. I try really not to connect Acharei Mot and Kedushim, but I don't think as you can see, I don't think I can, because that's really what happened. And that's the lesson that we need to learn. When Am Yisrael is getting together, or Jews are getting together, right? Everything. And especially when that gathering is done L'Shem Hashem, all the livelihoods is L'Shem Hashem. They're not doing that for Shem HaBeten, for the stomachs, or they're doing that to get together. That's what we saw. We saw somebody publish this, some congregation in Brooklyn published this wonderful thing that brings it over there, that it's better to daven in a small shul. Right? I don't remember exactly the word. it's better to daven in a small shul, the people don't talk, and they're serious about davening, than in a big shul with hundreds of people, everybody's talking. Whoever put it up is a genius. It's a wonderful thing. And we should remember that. Why are we coming to shul? We're coming to shul to talk. We're coming to shul to see where did you buy Teva stock market here recently? Did you buy this? Did you buy Exxon? What did Warren Buffett buy? No. I didn't come to shul for that. The gathering of Jews should be for the sake of Kedusha. And that's why Shlosha she'achlu b'shulchan echad, it's already a group. It's not two, it's three. If they end benehem divrei Torah, כאילו achlu mizivchem etim. The Shekhinah comes with you. Shnayim shelomdim Shekhinah itam. Because when you learn Torah, you machnis yourself b'chlal Yisrael. Even if one person learns, Shekhinah is there. Maybe to a different magnitude. Why? Because when a person learns Torah, he's connecting himself to Klal Yisrael. That's the beauty of Daf Yomi. I don't do Daf Yomi, but that's the beauty of Daf Yomi. You are part of something greater. That's how the Kedusha comes. However, when we do so, and we remember that, maybe then we'll be able to break the last husk, the last klipat noga. We'll be able to clearly distinguish between good and bad. Miderech Yisrael lechukot hagoyim. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol uben or lachoshech uben Yisrael hagoyim. Only then you can reach a level of kedusha. Shabbat shalom.